Welcome to the deep dive. Okay,
Sure.
picture this. Skipping the gridlock entirely, flying over the city, air taxis.
Sounds futuristic, right. But it's happening faster than maybe people think.
Exactly. And today, we're zoning in on one of the big players making it happen, ACHR Aviation.
Yeah, they're definitely front and center in this whole eVTOL space.
So our mission today really is to give you the quick version, the shortcut to understanding ACHR.
We'll look at the tech, their partners, the big plans.
And the money side, too, which is always crucial. Basically, everything you need to know about what they're doing and what it might mean for, how we get around in the future.
And the sources we've looked at really cover the gamut. You've got regulatory stuff, financials, future plans.
Right, so we're aiming to piece together the full picture, kind of get behind the headlines.
Let's do it.
Okay, first things first. ACHR Aviation. What is their core thing?
It's all about eVTOLs, electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft.
Right, the ones that go straight up and down like a helicopter, but electric and presumably quieter.
Exactly. Their main aircraft is called the Midnight. And the idea is, transform how we move around cities.
No more traffic jams, just lift off.
That's the dream. But it's not just a dream. They're building real partnerships, like working super closely with U.S. regulators.
You mean the FAA and the Department of Transportation?
Yeah, the FAA and DOT. You absolutely need them on board for this kind of thing. It's a whole new type of aircraft, basically.
And wasn't there a big announcement recently, something international?
Oh, yeah, huge news. ACHR's CEO, Adam Goldstein, he was there with the U.S. Transportation Secretary and the acting FAA head.
Okay.
And they announced this 5-country alliance. U.S., U.K., Australia, Canada, New Zealand.
Wow, 5 countries. What's the goal there?
To basically smooth the path for getting these eVTOL certified and flying globally, sort of standardizing the rules.
So ACHR doesn't have to jump through completely different hoops in every country.
Pretty much. It's a massive advantage, potentially fast-tracking their international rollout. It shows serious government buy-in, too.
That makes sense. It signals that the big players are serious about making this work.
Definitely. And for ACHR, getting that kind of backing across multiple key markets, that really helps de-risk things a bit.
And they're not just talking regulators, they're linking up with airlines too, right?
Correct. Big names like United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, they're already involved.
So collaborations are key. And what about actual service? Where are they planning to launch first?
They've got ambitious plans, aiming for as soon as next year in places like New York, L.A.,
They're big ones.
San Francisco, Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, major U.S. cities.
Next year is soon.
Yeah.
That's ambitious.
It is. And get this, they've been named the official air taxi provider for the 2028 Olympics in L.A.
Okay, now that is a statement. A huge vote of confidence.
Absolutely. It puts a real spotlight on them.
And is there actual demand? I mean, beyond the hype?
Well, they're reporting a pretty hefty order book for the Midnight aircraft, something like nearly $6 billion worth.
$6 billion. Wow.
Yeah, so that signals some serious commercial interest. That's a lot of potential future revenue, assuming they deliver.
Which brings us to the how, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do they get these things flying, especially before all the final U.S. approvals are in place?
Good question. They have this interesting strategy called the Launch Edition program.
Launch Edition. What's that?
It lets them actually deliver the Midnight aircraft to certain customers in specific countries before they get that final full FAA certification in the U.S.
Huh. So they can start operating sooner elsewhere?
Yeah.
Kind of build up experience?
Exactly. It gets the ball rolling, demonstrates the tech in a real-world setting.
And who's the first customer for this Launch Edition?
It's Abu Dhabi Aviation, ADA. They're apparently the biggest commercial helicopter operator in the Middle East.
Ah, so partnering with someone who already knows the aerial operations game. Smart.
Makes perfect sense. And the plan is to actually start air taxi services in Abu Dhabi later this year.
This year? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they're working with the UAE's Aviation Authority, the GCAA, on a specific certification plan just for the Midnight.
So a tailored approach for that market.
Right. And they've even got design approval for converting existing heliports over there, using infrastructure that's already there.
That's pragmatic. Cuts down on some setup costs and time, I imagine.
Definitely. It helps smooth the entry.
And back in the U.S., you mentioned working with the FAA and DOT. Is the government generally supportive?
It seems that way. There appears to be, let's say, a keen interest from the administration, the Trump administration, specifically mentioned in the sources, in pushing this kind of tech forward.
So a bit of a tailwind politically, helping them navigate the regulatory side.
Yeah, that kind of governmental backing can certainly help speed things up, clear potential roadblocks. It seems there's a push to get this tech operational domestically, too.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. The money. Always the big question with these ambitious tech ventures.
Absolutely critical. And it's important for you listening to remember, Archer is currently pre-revenue.
Meaning they aren't actually selling commercial flights or making money from their main business yet.
Correct. Commercial operations are really slated to start, later this year internationally and then next year in the U.S. So right now...
They are spending a lot.
Exactly. Huge costs for certification, getting manufacturing scaled up, building out the service. It all costs serious money.
So funding is everything right now.
Mm-hmm.
Have they been able to raise enough?
They've actually been quite successful on that front. They just had their biggest capital raise yet, $850 million.
$850 million. That's substantial.
It really is. Brings their total funding to over $1.85 billion. That's a pretty significant war chest.
Gives them runway then. But are there still concerns?
Oh, definitely. Even with that much cash, there are challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Some analysts, like Bill Peterson at JP Morgan, are cautious.
Why is that?
Well, the worry is that actually getting to full commercialization might just take longer than everyone hopes. Delays happen, right?
Sure. And delays cost money, especially when you're not earning revenue yet.
Precisely. If things drag out, it could hurt the stock price.
And what's the longer-term financial picture look like, according to analysts?
Well, the forecasts don't really see Archer becoming cash flow positive, meaning making more money than they spend until maybe 2028.
2028, so several more years of burning cash.
Potentially, yes. Which raises the possibility they might need to raise more money down the line.
And more funding rounds can mean dilution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Issuing more shares.
It's a real risk. Issuing new shares can reduce the ownership stake for existing shareholders. Plus, beyond the money and the regulators.
They need people to actually want to fly in these things.
Public acceptance. That's a huge factor for a totally new way to travel.
So if someone listening is thinking about this from an investment angle, what's the takeaway?
Well, based on what we've seen, the consensus seems to be, look, if you're optimistic, maybe you consider it now. The price is around $10 or so.
Right.
But it's really best suited for, quote, very aggressive investors with a long-term perspective.
Meaning you got to be willing to potentially ride out some serious ups and downs.
Exactly. The sources suggest bracing for a potentially volatile few years. It's definitely not a guaranteed smooth ride. High risk, potentially high reward, way down the line.
Okay, so wrapping this up, Archer Aviation. Clearly a major player, maybe the leader right now in this emerging air taxi world.
Yeah, they've got the vision. The tech seems promising. They've built some really key partnerships.
But, and it's a big but, they're still pre-revenue, facing huge costs, regulatory hurdles, and the need to convince the public.
It's that classic innovator's dilemma, isn't it? Balancing the groundbreaking potential with the very real challenges of building a business from scratch in a totally new market.
So that leaves us, and you, with something to think about.
Mm-hmm. Considering all the ambition, the money, the hurdles, how quickly do you really think our city skies are going to change? When will air taxis be like a normal thing?
And what else changes when that happens? Think about city design, noise, how we even think about distance in a metro area. What are the ripple effects we haven't even considered yet?
Lots to ponder. The future of travel is definitely looking up, or at least trying to.